So looking at this diagram, we're looking at how many different ways there are to get into university. You'll see from grade 10, there are quite a few different pathways to eventually get into the work of your choice. Just take a moment to have a look and see if you can count how many different pathways there are. So our learning intention today is we're going to look at what an Atar is and how do you qualify for one so that you can better identify your career pathway so that you can meet your personal career goals. We're also going to have a bit of a look at prerequisites and looking at some case studies so that we can get a better understanding. So the Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. So acronym for this is ATAR. So this really is an entrance score or a number that's used to determine if students can gain entry into university. So typically those students who are going for an ATAR are aiming for university straight after high school. Those students that don't want to be ATAR or choose a non-ATAR program are typically aiming for a TAFE diploma course or a certificate course, apprenticeships or traineeships, or employment. And the ATAR replaces the old OP or overall position system. So what is an ATAR? An ATAR is calculated according to how well a student has performed in their senior subjects. So as I said before, it's a number, and it's a number between 99.95, which is the best, all the way down to 0. Now, nobody ever gets a 0 on their senior certificates or anything like that. If it's a lower AT, it's always ATAR, it's always reported as 30 or less. So here's a chart showing the differences between OP and ATAR, and you'll see that the old OP1, which was the best, is now the 99.95, all the way down to the 30 or less for ATAR. And we're looking at the useful ATARs. So these are the ones that students need to aim for if they want to get into university, want to have that successful outcome. How do you qualify for an ATAR? So students can gain an ATAR by studying 5 general subjects, or 4 general subjects plus 1 applied subject, or 4 general subjects and 1 VET qualification at Certificate 3 or above. All ATAR students must also satisfactorily complete an English subject, and this can be either a general English subject or an applied English subject, and at this school we call that Essential English. This result may not contribute towards your ATAR. That will depend on your subject mix, but you still have to pass an English. What are general subjects? Achievements in these subjects are counted towards the Queensland Certificate of Education and ATAR. Now we're going to look at QCE another time. These subjects, the general ones, have a greater theory component, so more reading and writing. A maximum of 6 general subjects may be studied and selected at any one. So what are general subjects? General subjects contain a mix of internal and external assessment. And for some general subjects, students will sit an external exam worth 50% of their final grade. This is for maths and science subjects. All other general subjects will still have external assessment worth 25 to 50% of the final grade. And you'll be sitting down in the hall just like the students are in this picture. If students choose to study 6 general subjects, their ATAR is calculated on their 5 best scoring subjects. So some students like to choose the 6, just in case one subject might not go quite according to plan, they can still rely on their other 5 subjects. Students, though, who do not achieve a C or better in grade 10 subjects will find general subjects in grade 11 and 12 difficult. Here's an example of some general subjects that we have here at Wellington Point, and you'll see that there's quite a mix there. Now this isn't the whole list, there will be some other choices that you can make as well. Applied subjects. Achievements in these subjects are counted towards the QCE, and depending on a student's subject mix, one applied subject may contribute towards the ATAR. So applied subjects have reduced theory compared to the general subjects. They still have reading and writing, but just not as much as the general. All assessment is internal, so exams and assignments are marked by our teachers. Students who do not achieve a C or better in Year 10 subjects would cope better with applied subjects. So some of these subjects have some tasks that are more doing rather than the reading and writing. Not all of them, but certainly it is a lot less reading and writing compared to general subjects. Here's some examples of some applied subjects here at Wellington Point, and this isn't the complete list either, but it gives you an idea of some of the different applied subjects that we offer. Inter-subject scaling. So that's where raw scores for a given subject are adjusted so the results for that subject can be compared fairly with the results of any other subject. So for example, one student studies general maths, which is a bit easier than the mathematical methods subject. Both are general subjects. How are their results treated fairly in the Atar calculation? So they're both maths subjects, but they have different levels of difficulty. A little bit like this race, you'll see that there's one person there that's just ahead of everybody else in the starting blocks. So inter-subject scaling. So our first student studies an easier maths and gets 90 out of 100. Our second student, though, studies a more difficult maths subject and gains 70 out of 100. The process of scaling ensures that both of these students are treated fairly and end up with the same scaled score for maths.
Soon, Queensland education will transition to a new system that aligns with other states and territories throughout Australia. The state government has entrusted QTAC to manage this important change. From 2020, Atar, the Australian Tertiary Admission Rank, will replace the overall position as the primary pathway to tertiary study for Year 12 students. To be Atar eligible, students must complete either 5 general subjects or 4 general subjects and 1 applied subject or VET course. English is compulsory, but there are 5 English subjects to choose from. A process called scaling will then be applied. The purpose of scaling is to prevent the unfairness that would occur if we simply added up raw subject results. And here's why it's important. Without scaling, a score of 90 out of 100 in Maths A would be the same as a 90 out of 100 in Maths B. But that doesn't make sense. We know that Maths B is more challenging than Maths A, and things get even trickier when you look at vastly different subjects. Is achieving well in art more difficult than physics? Is chemistry harder than English? What about geography and physical education? Scaling allows comparison based on the difficulty of achieving each result. Let's break it down. Scaling works by looking at how students who take a particular subject perform in other subjects. This comparison tells us something about the relative difficulty of each subject. When we examine the results against large groups of students, we can determine how hard a subject is overall compared to other subjects. Until December 2020, when the first ATARs are calculated, we can't know for certain how hard a subject will be. Some subjects may scale higher or lower from one year to the next. So it's important for students to choose subjects they enjoy, that they are good at, and that are prerequisites for the further study they want to take, rather than basing choices on how a subject is likely to scale. Now, we've spoken a lot about the ATAR, but it's not the only path to uni. VET courses and applied subjects can also get students the requirements they need. And there are other life opportunities too. TAFE, apprenticeships, a gap year, even work. The future is in front of Queensland students, and it can be extraordinary whichever path they choose. We're all in this together, and together we'll make the transition to ATAR a positive experience for every student in Queensland.
So let's have a look at some subject mixes and work out if these students will get an Atar or not. So remember, students need to study either 6 subjects at school or 5 subjects in a TAFE course or a school-based apprenticeship. So let's have a look at this student. We can see that they're doing all general subjects, so there's 6 general subjects there, and they've got some mixed results there. So to get an ATAR, one of our choices was to do 5 general subjects, and we said before that if you do 6 general subjects, your ATAR would be calculated on your 5 best scoring subjects. Now you'll see that this student has also completed English satisfactorily, so has passed English. So remember, that's important. The student will get an ATAR. Now this example here, we have a student that's doing 4 general subjects and 2 applied. So this student will get an ATAR. So they've got the 4 general subjects and 1 applied, and they have also passed English. This student has 4 general subjects and a couple of VET or vocational education training certificate courses completed. So this rule is 4 general subjects and 1 VET certificate 3 or higher. This student has also satisfactorily completed English. So let's have a look at this student. We have 6 general subjects, and our ATAR is calculated on our 5 best general subjects. This student, though, has not passed English. So unfortunately, even though they've worked really hard in all their other subjects, they will not get an ATAR. This student has quite a mixture of subjects, so they don't get an ATAR. You'll see though, because of the number of general subjects that they're doing, they've only got 2. So the minimum general subjects to get an ATAR is 4, and then you can look at applied subjects and certificate 3 subjects. And you'll notice this student doesn't have a certificate 3 subject, they have a certificate 2. And like we said before, not everybody is going to want or need an ATAR, and that's fine. It depends on your career goals. So consider this. ATARs, their only purpose is to gain entry into university, and not everyone will get into university because it's competitive. So what is a useful ATAR? To gain entry into a university course in Brisbane, students usually need to get a useful ATAR of about a 69 or better. Now some students seem to think that if they get C's for all of their subjects, they'll get this ATAR. Let's have a look. So this is a past student and they got C's for all of their general subjects. Now this student was from the old system, so they got an OP20, but the ATAR equivalent to that was only 45.25. And you'll see from that little chart at the side there that that's significantly below that useful ATAR of 69. Here's another student. Now this time we have a mixture of results. We have 3 C's and 3 B's. So again, this past student got an OP of 14, so that ATAR would have been 64.95. Now we are getting closer to that 69, but look at those grades. Doesn't it make you wonder what grade you might need to get that 69 or better? So here we go, we have to think about it now. What do we have to get 69 or better? Well, it looks like you need at least B's for all of your subjects. So prerequisite subjects. These are subjects that universities and TAFE colleges insist students have completed and passed at least to gain entry into their courses. So you have to check the prerequisites for different courses at different universities so that you can satisfy those requirements when you go to apply for university in grade 12. University prerequisites. So most universities insist on a prerequisite of general English. Now, the units 3 and 4 are studied in grade 12, and you need to exit at least on a C. So this means that students need to study general English for those units. Now, it doesn't make sense to do just units 3 and 4, so you have to do units 1 and 2, that's grade 11, and gain a final result of a C or better. Many engineering, science, and health courses may also have prerequisites of mathematical methods, chemistry, and/or physics. All the same, units 3 and 4 with at least a C. Now, most of the time, you'll probably need to get better than a C to get the Atar that you require. TAFE, the majority of TAFE diploma courses have no prerequisites apart from the completion of grade 12. So let's have a bit of a look at a case study. Here's our friend Clark Kent. Now, will he get an Atar? We've got a range of subjects here. I can see a list of more than 6 there, but you'll notice there at one point he's changed from chemistry to physical education. You'll also notice that units 1 and 2 are graded according to S for satisfactory or U for unsatisfactory. So Clark does all general subjects. His Atar will be calculated on his 5 best scoring general subjects in units 3 and 4. So they're the ones in the final column there with the letters A, B, C, etc. So looking at Clark, his 5 best scoring subjects there are now highlighted. Now, interestingly enough, you'll see that mathematical methods is highlighted and art isn't. Now, we don't exactly know if mathematical methods is going to rate better than art at this stage, but this could very well happen. Mathematical methods is one of the higher math subjects, and it could very well work out that a C in math methods might beat a B in the visual art. And yes, it's important to choose subjects that you enjoy and you are good at. You have 2 years to do these subjects. You don't want to be miserable for 2 years. So we've got to consider too that Clark wants to go to university after high school. For which courses does he satisfy prerequisites? All right, so Clark is thinking that he might like to do a Bachelor of Laws with the University of Queensland. So their prerequisite is listed as a general English subject, and he's exited at least on a C. This means Clark must have studied general English. So Wellington Point, we only have general English, we don't have literature. He must have studied that in grade 12 for units 3 and 4, and he must have achieved a final grade of C or better. So let's have a bit of a look at Clark. So he studies all general subjects, so he's going to get an Atar, we know that. And the Bachelor of Law for UQ requires that English prerequisite. And yes, he's got that. He's got at least a C. He's actually done better than that. He's gotten a B. So Clark could apply for that based on the prerequisites. So Clark is also thinking about engineering. So obviously Clark's really not quite sure what he wants to do. So the prerequisites for engineering are saying general English. He's got to at least pass that. Mathematical methods as well, plus chemistry or physics. So he doesn't have to study both chemistry and physics. At least one of those would suffice. So let's have a look and see what Clark does now. So Clark's got his 6 subjects. He's getting an Atar because of his general subjects. And we know we've already got that English prerequisite satisfied. Look, he's also passed his math methods, unit 3 and 4, so that's good. That's a tick there. But hang on, he doesn't have the prerequisite of chemistry or physics because he only did chemistry in unit 1 and he didn't pass that. So that does not satisfy that prerequisite, and there is no physics there either. Okay, so Clark is now thinking that he might want to consider a Bachelor of Education primary at the Australian Catholic University. Now, the Australian Catholic University is a public university. You don't have to be Catholic to go there, and they're not going to hit you over the head with a Bible when you walk in. If you want to talk religion, I'm sure they'll happily talk religion with you, but there are plenty of people that go there that are not religious in the slightest. So prerequisites for this course, we have general English, any general math subject, and any general science subject. So here's Clark's grades again. So we've got the English and we've got the maths. That's not a problem. However, he still doesn't satisfy that science prerequisite. So I'm afraid this course is going to be out of Clark's reach. So the Atar required for the Bachelor of Law, so this is the course that Clark can apply for based on prerequisites. So the Atar required is presently 95.15. Wow. Do you think Clark is on track to achieve this? Well, maybe not. Because remember those previous case studies that we had? We said that you needed B's to get that magic useful ATAR over 69. However, this course is looking for a 95.15. I think he's going to need better than B's. I think he's actually going to need A's. So maybe Clark will miss out on entry to the Bachelor of Laws. So considerations for choosing subjects for years 11 and 12. You should consider subjects that you enjoy and that reflect your interests and abilities. Think about those ones that you've achieved in or you feel confident of achieving good results. Think about those that help you reach your career and employment goals, and also those that will develop skills, knowledge, and attitudes useful throughout your life. So you don't have to choose all of your subjects geared towards your career. You might actually find that rather dull. You might like to inject maybe some sport or some artistic endeavours into your senior program to keep you interested enough and to keep up some different skills that might be useful throughout your life. So think about which ones are you currently achieving in? Which learning and career interest areas do you have? And which subjects will satisfy prerequisites? There is no point though to choosing subjects that are prerequisites unless you are going to pass them at least. And you can see from the case studies that you might need to do better than pass them. So you have to be very, very sure about those subjects. Motivation and effort are the keys to success. And as we all know, students usually perform better, complete homework and assessments to a higher standard if they are interested in what they are studying. So when choosing subjects as well, common sense has to prevail. Students who have not passed or only just passed grade 10 English are unlikely to cope with general English in grade 11 and 12. Students wanting to become musicians might want to consider studying a music subject. Students who have not been motivated to study in grade 10, though, are unlikely to have the motivation required to succeed with general subjects in grades 11 and 12. So what does this mean? Those students that don't pass or just pass English or maths or both in grade 10 will not be permitted to study general subjects in grade 11. I can't stress enough that general subjects are very difficult and their assessment is quite big. And the heads of department will be talking about this in the future, but you really must choose wisely. Subject changes may be possible after Unit 1 or Unit 2 has been completed. Now that's in grade 11. After this though, subject changes are not possible. This is not our rule. This is a rule from the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority in how the ATARs and QCEs are calculated. So this is a rule that everyone in the state must adhere to. Subject changes will still need to take into account as well student numbers and class availability, as well as ATAR and QCE rules. So just because you come to see me in grade 11 and say that you want a subject change, I cannot guarantee that there will be something that will interest you. which is why we need you to make some very wise decisions in grade 10 going into grade 11. So warning, you must choose your subjects wisely, as I just said, because changes may not always be possible. And students can continually upgrade to reach the level of education they require to achieve their goals. So you can see from this chart that just because you start with Certificate 2 or Certificate 3 doesn't mean that you can't end up going to university if that's what you choose to do. And as I said earlier, the ultimate goal is that you go into work that you will enjoy. So what I recommend, you have to work with your teachers this year to get the best results you can. And I know that things have been complicated this year. We can all work together to make sure that our results are the best that we can make them. You also should complete all homework, all of your assessment, complete your drafts and get that feedback from teachers, and submit your work on time. In grade 11 and 12, if you don't submit your work on time, you don't attend an exam, things like that, then you will actually get 0. You have to think about where will your pathway lead. So remember at the start of this session, we were looking at understanding the Atar, knowing what it is, why it's important, looking at prerequisites, and helping you understand that there is more than one way to reach your career goal, looking at some pathways. So how many different ways are there to get into university? So there's one. Now this is the one that a lot of students really want. They want to go to grade 11 and 12, they want to do their very best, and they want to go straight to university. However, sometimes life gets in the road and we don't always achieve what we set out to do. So there are other pathways. So here's number one. Number 2 is a popular one. So if students don't get the ATAR that they want, they can always upgrade by going to do a diploma at TAFE and then going into university. And as you can see in red there, the diploma can also provide up to 12 months or 1 year credit off a uni course. Number 3, 4, 5, and even if you're an adult, there are other pathways, and there might even be other pathways if you're an Indigenous Australian student. So how many different ways require an ATAR? Only one. So only the one that you want to go to university straight after high school. Remember, to go to do a diploma at TAFE, you don't need an ATAR to do that. You don't need any particular prerequisites to do that, any prerequisite subjects.